Studies show that roughly 93% of Gen Z cannot go more than 45 minutes without checking their phone. I made that number up, but you believed it for a second, didn't you? That's because it feels true. It feels accurate. And today, we're going to put that theory through the most aggressive field test in human history. We're sending a 21-year-old influencer from Miami to ancient Rome. Not the Rome you see in the movies with the white marble and the dramatic speeches. The real one, the one that smelled like an open sewer because it literally was one. The one where they sweetened their wine with lead and thought that was fine. The one where your neighborhood could catch fire at 3 in the morning and your only option was to run. That Rome, and she's going in heels. Kayla Ashford, 21 years old, born and raised in Miami, Florida, in a condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and central air conditioning that has never once been set above 68 degrees. Kayla is what happens when you combine an Instagram algorithm with a credit card and zero adult supervision. She has 1,400 followers, which she calls a community. She takes 45 minutes to get ready for a trip to CVS. She once returned a salad because the dressing was given very processed energy. Her closet is organized by color and then by vibe. That is a real system she invented, and she will explain it to you in detail if you make the mistake of asking. Today's outfit, because there is always an outfit, is a white crop top, a denim micro saya that could double as a wide belt, platform heels that add 4 inches to her 5'5" frame, and nails so long they have their own zip code, French tip, coffin shape. She did them yesterday and already chipped one reaching into a bag of veggie straws, which she described as a traumatic experience.
Oh, come on.
Her phone has a pink case with a built-in ring light, and she has not been more than 3 feet from it since 2019. This is the specimen we're working with. I want to be clear about that. This is who we're putting in the Roman Empire. It starts, as most disasters do, with technology. Kayla's friend Brianna, who she calls Bree, and who she has been in a passive-aggressive friendship war with since sophomore year, sends her a link to some new VR experience.
That's it?
Babe, you have to try this. It's like actually insane. Bri texts with 0 punctuation because punctuation is apparently a millennial thing now. The app is called Chrono Lens. It promises full immersion historical experiences. And it has 3.5 stars, which Kayla does not check because reading reviews is also, apparently, a millennial thing. She puts on the VR headset. She's sitting on her bed, legs crossed, platform heels still on because she was filming a Get Ready With Me and didn't finish. The app loads. There's a glitchy menu. She taps Roman Empire because, and I quote, that's literally so trending right now, like every guy is thinking about it. She taps Start. The screen flickers, then it goes black, and then it goes very, very real. The first thing that hits her is the smell. Not a smell. The smell. The kind of smell that doesn't just enter your nostrils but moves in, sets up furniture, and starts paying rent. It is the smell of human waste, rotten food, animal dung, wood smoke, and something sweet and sour underneath all of it that she will later learn is garum, a condiment made from fish intestines left to ferment in the sun for months. The Romans put it on everything. They loved it. They would have put it on pizza if pizza existed. It was their ketchup, their hot sauce, their ranch dressing. And it smelled like a dumpster behind a seafood restaurant in August. Kayla gags, her eyes water. She reaches for her phone. Her phone is not there. She reaches for her bag. Her bag is not there. She is standing in a narrow street paved with uneven stone blocks, and her platform heels are already sinking into something wet between the cracks. She looks down. She does not want to know what it is. I am going to tell her anyway. It is a combination of rainwater, kitchen waste thrown from windows above, and human urine. Roman streets did not have storm drains in the residential areas. They had gravity, and gravity pulled everything downhill into the main roads, where people like Kayla were now standing in 4-inch heels. She takes one step. The heel catches between two stones. She stumbles forward. She takes another step. The other heel sinks into something soft. She makes a sound that is part scream, part gag, part existential crisis. The vibes, she whispers to no one, are so off right now. Now here's the thing about ancient Rome that the movies conveniently skip over. We think of marble columns and senators in white togas delivering speeches about democracy. And sure, that existed for about 2% of the population. The other 98% lived in buildings called insulae. Imagine a 6-story apartment building made of wood and cheap concrete, with no running water above the first floor, no toilets above the first floor, no fire escapes, no building codes, and a landlord who absolutely did not care if the whole thing collapsed, which they frequently did. The poet Juvenal wrote about this. He complained that you couldn't sleep in Rome because of the noise, the fires, and the constant threat of your ceiling falling on your head. This was not a metaphor. Ceilings fell regularly. Kayla is standing at the base of one of these insulae. She does not know this yet. She thinks she is in some kind of movie set that has gone horribly wrong. She is looking around for cameras. She is looking for a door that says exit. She is looking for literally anything that makes sense. Instead, she sees a man in a brown tunic dump the contents of a clay pot out of a 3rd-floor window. The contents land approximately 4 feet from where she's standing. The contents are exactly what you think they are. No, Kayla says. No, 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 no. No, because literally no. A woman pushing a cart stacked with clay jars stares at her, not at her face, at her legs, at her microcia. In ancient Rome, respectable women wore a stola, a long draped garment that went from shoulders to ankles. Showing your legs in public was not a fashion choice. It was a professional indicator. Specifically, it indicated that you worked in the Suburra, Rome's most infamous neighborhood, in a profession that did not involve selling pottery. Kayla does not know this yet. She is about to find out, because a man with 3 teeth and breath like a landfill has just approached her and said something in Latin that she does not understand, but can absolutely interpret from context. You, she says, backing up. You, that is not okay. I will literally report you. To whom, Kayla? To whom will you report him? The Roman police, they don't exist. Rome had the vigiles, a group of freedmen who functioned as a combination of firefighters and night watchmen, and their primary concern was making sure the city didn't burn down, which it was constantly trying to do. Personal safety complaints were not really their department. In Rome, if someone bothered you, your options were to have a larger friend hit them, hire someone to hit them, or simply accept that you had been bothered. Customer service had not been invented. She starts walking, or trying to. The platform heels are a catastrophe on Roman streets. The basalt paving stones of the Via Sacra were laid for sandals and bare feet, not for whatever architectural nonsense is strapped to Kayla's feet. Every 3rd step is a near-death experience. She passes a thermopolium, a Roman fast food counter built into the front of a building, with large clay pots set into a stone counter. It looks, she will later admit, kind of like a chipotle, a very, very cursed chipotle. The food inside the pots is a brownish stew. She does not ask what is in it. The answer, for the record, is lentils, chickpeas, and whatever meat was available, which on a bad day might include dormouse. Romans ate dormice. They fattened them in special clay jars called gliraria and served them at dinner parties drizzled with honey and poppy seeds. This was considered a delicacy. Kayla does not need to know this. I am telling you because I found it delightful and because the look on her face right now is something I wish I could photograph. She is sweating. Miami is hot, sure. But Miami has air conditioning every 15 feet. Rome in summer hits 95 degrees with humidity rolling off the Tiber, and there is zero shade on this street. Her crop top is already sticking to her back. Her makeup, a 40-minute operation involving primer, foundation, concealer, setting spray, and something called glass skin serum, is sliding down her face like a Salvador Dali painting. Her false lashes are peeling at the corners. Her French tips are collecting grime from every surface she accidentally touches. She looks, and I say this with genuine affection, like a beauty influencer who has been dragged through a car wash. And that right there is what we in the business call a character-building moment. She rounds a corner and nearly steps into the Cloaca Maxima, or rather, one of its open tributary channels. The Cloaca Maxima was one of the ancient world's greatest engineering achievements, a massive sewer system originally built to drain the marshes of the Roman Forum. By 50 AD, it carried the waste of a city of over 1 million people into the Tiber River. And when I say waste, I mean all of it: kitchen scraps, human sewage, workshop runoff, dead animals, and occasionally, according to several Roman sources, human bodies that nobody wanted to explain. The channels that fed into it ran openly through certain neighborhoods. There were no grates, no covers, no warning signs, just a trench in the ground that smelled like the end of the world, flowing sluggishly toward the river. Kayla's right heel catches on a loose stone at the edge of the channel. She wobbles. She pinwheels her arms, her nails, her beautiful $200 coffin-shaped French tips scrape against a rough stone wall as she tries to catch herself. 2 of them snap clean off. She screams, not because of the sewer, because of the nails. Those were custom. She shrieks, those were Gel X with a chrome French, and they took 2 hours. The sewer does not care about her nails. The sewer has been here since the 6th century BC, built under the kings of Rome, expanded under the Republic, and it has processed more human filth than Kayla's Instagram comment section on a bad day. It will be here long after she is gone. It is indifferent to her suffering. It is, in fact, the most honest thing in this city. It takes what Rome produces and carries it away without pretending it's something else. She pulls herself upright. She has lost 1 platform heel. It is in the sewer now. It belongs to the Cloaca Maxima. She stands there lopsided, 1 foot 4 inches higher than the other, crop top stained, nails broken, mascara running, in a city that has absolutely no idea what to do with her. She kicks off the other heel. The stones are hot against her bare feet. Something sharp pokes her soul immediately. I want to go home, she says quietly. It is the first time she has said it without attitude. It is the first time she has meant it. But Rome is not done with her. Rome has not even started. As the sun begins to drop, a man in a slightly nicer tunic approaches her. He speaks Latin, obviously, which Kayla does not speak, but he gestures clearly enough. He is pointing toward a large building. He seems friendly. Friendly-ish. He is motioning for her to follow. She does because her options are this man or the street, and the street has already taken her nails and her dignity. The building turns out to be a villa. Not a grand one, a middle-tier Roman home belonging to someone with enough money to have slaves but not enough to have good taste. There has been a banquet. The triclinium, the dining room, is littered with the aftermath. Romans ate lying down on couches arranged in a U-shape around a low table, and they ate with their hands. There are bones on the floor. There is wine spilled on the cushions. There is sauce, garum-based, judging by the smell that hits Kayla like a physical wall, on basically every surface. Now, there's a popular myth that Romans had a special room called a vomitorium, where they would go to throw up between courses so they could keep eating. This is not exactly true. The word vomitorium actually refers to the passageways in amphitheaters where crowds would spew forth after events. The architecture term. However, and this is the part the myth got right, wealthy Romans did sometimes induce vomiting during long banquets. Seneca wrote about it. He was disgusted by it. He described people eating until they couldn't move, vomiting, and then eating again. It was not universal, but it happened. And tonight, at this particular banquet, it has clearly happened. There's evidence. Kayla is handed a rag and pointed toward the mess. She is, apparently, being enlisted to clean. The man who brought her seems to think she is a slave, or at least available labor. The outfit probably didn't help. She stands there holding a rag that smells like sour wine, looking at a floor covered in the remnants of a Roman feast that included at minimum 3 courses and at least 1 round of recreational vomiting, and she has a moment. A real moment. The kind of moment where the brain just stops processing and goes to screensaver mode. This, she says to no one, because no one here speaks English, is given actual nightmare. She cleans. She does not have a choice. She cleans with a rag and a bucket of water that has already been used for something else. Her remaining nails break one by one against the tile floor. Her microcea is now stained with wine and garum and something yellowish she refuses to identify. Her bare feet stick to the floor with every step. The mosaic tiles she notices through her misery are actually beautiful. Tiny colored stones arranged in geometric patterns. Someone made this. Someone spent months on their knees placing each piece. She files this observation away without knowing what to do with it. After what feels like hours, she is given food. A bowl of pulse, a thick porridge made from emmer wheat, the staple food of most Romans. It tastes like wallpaper paste with a vaguely nutty undertone. There is no seasoning except salt and a drizzle of olive oil. She eats it. She eats all of it. She does not complain about the texture. She does not ask if it is organic. She scrapes the bowl with her fingers. She is then given wine. Roman wine was not what you buy at Whole Foods. It was thick, often mixed with water, sometimes mixed with seawater, and in many households, sweetened with defrutum, a syrup made by boiling grape juice in lead-lined pots. The lead made it sweet. It also made it poisonous. Historians estimate that wealthy Romans may have consumed up to 1,000 micrograms of lead per day through their food and drink. For reference, the modern safety limit is about 5 micrograms. Lead poisoning causes mood swings, cognitive decline, infertility, and eventually organ failure. Some historians, and this is debated but fascinating, have argued that chronic lead poisoning among the Roman elite contributed to the instability of the late empire, erratic emperors, declining birth rates, bizarre decision-making. Nero, who is technically the emperor right now in our timeline, will eventually kick his pregnant wife to death. There are many explanations for this. Lead is one of them. Kayla drinks the wine. She doesn't know about the lead. It tastes sweet. She asks for more by pointing at the cup. She gets more. Night falls on Rome, and night in Rome is not like night in Miami. Miami has streetlights, neon signs, headlights, phone screens, the ambient glow of a city that never fully turns off. Rome at night is dark. Truly, completely, aggressively dark. Oil lamps flicker in some windows. Torches burn at some intersections. But the side streets, the alleys, the neighborhoods where normal people live, they are black, and they are dangerous. Juvenal, our complaining poet again, wrote that going out at night in Rome without making your will first was negligent. Muggers, drunks, and fallen chamber pots were all legitimate hazards. The chamber pots again, always the chamber pots. Kayla is in the street because the man from the villa has put her out after the cleaning was done. She is barefoot, filthy, wearing a crop top and microsea in a city where that combination is a flashing neon sign that says vulnerable. She walks close to the walls. She flinches at sounds. Every shadow could be a person. Every sound could be a threat. She has never been this scared. She has never been anywhere without her phone, without the ability to call someone, text someone, post a story that says, "Guys, I'm freaking out," with a shaky selfie. She finds a doorway. She sits in it. The stone is cold against her legs. Something scurries past her feet, and she pulls her knees to her chest. She does not scream. She is past screaming. She just sits there, arms wrapped around herself. Crop top providing zero warmth in the nighttime Mediterranean air that has dropped to 60 degrees, which doesn't sound cold until you're sitting on stone in a miniskirt with no shoes and no hope. And then she sees the fire, not close, a few streets away, an orange glow rising above the roof line of the insula, and she can hear shouting. In ancient Rome, fires were constant. The insula were built of wood and dried mud brick. People cooked over open flames in tiny rooms. They used oil lamps that tipped over. They had no running water above the first floor and no fire department worth the name until Augustus organized the vigiles, and even the vigiles were undermanned, under-equipped, and mostly focused on major blazes. Small fires were just a feature of Roman life. You watched them burn. You hoped they didn't reach your building. You moved if they did. Kayla watches the glow. She hears the shouting get louder, then softer, then stop. The fire doesn't spread, not tonight. She exhales. She didn't realize she'd been holding her breath. Morning comes. Roman mornings start early. The streets fill before dawn with vendors, laborers, carts that were banned from the city during daylight hours under Julius Caesar's traffic law, and so had to make all their deliveries at night and in the early morning. The noise is incredible. Iron wheels on stone, donkeys shouting in Latin, hammering from workshops. And through it all, the smell, which has not improved with sunrise. If anything, it has gotten more complex. Because now there's fresh bread baking somewhere, and the combination of warm bread and open sewer is something Kayla's nose was simply not designed to process. She stands. Everything hurts. Her feet are cut. Her legs are bruised. Her back aches from sleeping on stone. She is hungry again. She walks because walking is the only thing she knows how to do right now. She passes a Follonica, a Roman laundry, and stops. Inside, workers are standing in large stone vats, stomping on cloth. This is how Romans cleaned fabric. They stomped it with their feet in a mixture of water, alkaline clay, and human urine. Urine, collected in pots placed on street corners specifically for this purpose. The ammonia in urine is an effective cleaning agent, and the Romans knew this. And they used it on an industrial scale. The Emperor Vespasian even taxed the urine trade, and when his son complained about the source of the revenue, Vespasian held up a coin and said, "Pecunia non olet," money doesn't smell. It became one of history's most famous quotes, all because of pee laundry. Kayla watches a man stomp on what appears to be a white toga in a vat of yellowish liquid. She connects the dots. She dry heaves. The man waves at her cheerfully. She keeps walking. She reaches the thermae, the public baths. Now this, she thinks, this could be okay. This could be the first okay thing. She needs to be clean more than she has ever needed anything in her life. She enters. The facility is impressive. Vaulted ceilings, mosaic floors, steam rising from heated pools. Romans took their bathing seriously. The thermae were social centers, places to meet friends, conduct business, exercise, and gossip. They had hot rooms, warm rooms, cold plunge pools, and exercise yards. But here's what Kayla doesn't know. The water was not chlorinated, it was not filtered. It was heated by underground furnaces called hypocausts and circulated through the pools. And hundreds of bodies passed through that same water every day. Skin conditions were rampant. Eye infections spread easily. The Roman physician Celsus wrote about treating diseases contracted at the baths. And the oil. Romans didn't use soap. They covered themselves in olive oil and then scraped it off with a curved metal tool called a strigil. The scrapings, a mixture of oil, sweat, and dead skin, were collected and sold as a folk remedy. People bought other people's body scrapings and rubbed them on sore joints. Gladiator scrapings were especially prized. Kayla gets in the warm pool. She sinks up to her neck. For 30 seconds, it is the best thing that has ever happened to her. Then a large man with a back like a topographical map settles in next to her and the water gets slightly cloudier, and she realizes that this is not a spa. This is a communal soup of Roman body fluids, and she is marinating in it. She gets out. She doesn't even striggle. She just gets out. The rest of the day blurs. She eats bread from a street vendor that is harder than any bread she has ever encountered, because Roman millstones left stone fragments in the flour that ground down your teeth over a lifetime. She watches a man get his tooth pulled by a barber in the street with no anesthesia except wine. She sees a slave being beaten for dropping an amphora of olive oil. She sees children working. She sees a woman her age carrying water up 6 flights of stairs because there is no other way to get it there. She sees a funeral procession and cannot tell if the body on the bier is old or young because everyone here looks old. Life expectancy in ancient Rome averaged somewhere around 25 to 30 years, though this number is skewed by high infant mortality. Still, a 21-year-old in Rome was not a girl figuring out her aesthetic. She was likely a mother, possibly a widow, definitely someone who had buried at least one child. Kayla sits on a stone bench near the Forum. The Forum is genuinely beautiful. White marble gleaming in the sun, columns taller than anything in Miami, temples with painted facades, because Roman buildings were painted in bright colors, not the white stone we imagine. They were red, blue, gold, vivid. The Forum is alive with people arguing, selling, praying, shouting. It is the most alive place she has ever been, and also the most terrifying. She looks down at herself, bare feet black with grime, crop top, unrecognizable, microcea, stained beyond salvation, nails gone, lashes gone. Hair, a disaster that no conditioning treatment on earth could negotiate with. She looks like a person who has been living in ancient Rome for a day, which is exactly what she is. She cries, quietly. Romans don't really notice. People cry in the Forum all the time. Court cases happen here. People lose fortunes, lose lawsuits, lose everything. A crying girl is not remarkable. She is just another body in the machine of the greatest city the ancient world has ever produced. A city of 1 million people with no antibiotics, no human rights as she understands them, no privacy, no safety net, and absolutely no Wi-Fi. The glitch happens at sunset. She doesn't feel it coming. One moment she's sitting on that bench, watching the sky turn orange over the Temple of Saturn. And the next moment the light stutters, like a video buffering. The sounds skip. The smell cuts out for half a second, and then comes back, and then cuts out again. Her vision pixelates at the edges. She feels a pulling sensation behind her eyes, like her brain is being dragged backward through a straw, and then she is on her bed. In Miami. The VR headset is on the floor. Her phone is buzzing. Bree has texted 14 times. Did you try it? Kayla? Hello? Are you dead, lol? Kayla does not answer. She sits on her bed for a long time. Her feet are clean. Her nails are intact. Her crop top is white and unstained. Nothing happened. Everything happened. She gets up and walks to the bathroom. She turns on the faucet. Clean water comes out. She stares at it like she has never seen it before. She drinks from the tap. Kayla Ashford, who has not consumed non-filtered water since she was 11 years old, drinks straight from a faucet in Miami-Dade County, and it is the best thing she has ever tasted. She takes a shower, a normal shower. She stands under the water for 40 minutes and does not reach for a single product. She just stands there. When she gets out, she puts on sweatpants and a crew neck sweater. Not a crop top, not a miniskirt, full coverage, long sleeves. She wants to be covered. She wants to be warm. She wants to be enclosed in fabric from neck to ankle, and she does not want to explain why. She goes to the kitchen. She finds a box of plain crackers. She eats them slowly, one at a time, and they are the best crackers she has ever eaten because they do not contain stone fragments that will grind her teeth to stumps. She opens her fridge. There is food in it, wrapped in plastic, refrigerated, safe. She closes the fridge and stands there with her hand on the door, breathing. The next morning, Bree comes over. Bree finds Kayla sitting on her balcony, no phone, no ring light, wearing sneakers. Sneakers flat on the ground, zero platform, zero hill, watching the sunrise over Biscayne Bay. "Girl," Bree says, "are you okay? You look different." Kayla looks at her. She opens her mouth. She closes it. She looks back at the water. "Did you know," she says very quietly, "that the Romans used to sweeten their wine with lead, like actual lead, from the pipes in the pots, and they just drank it every day, and it was slowly killing them, and they had no idea." Bree stares at her. "Okay, that's literally so random." "And the sewer," Kayla continues, not listening. "They had sewers. They were actually really advanced, but they were open, like just open in the street, and people threw their everything out the windows, and you just had to walk through it." "Kayla, did something happen with the VR thing? You're being so weird." Kayla looks down at her sneakers. Flat, solid, touching the ground. She can feel every inch of the smooth tile under her feet, and it is a miracle. Every flat, clean, predictable surface is a miracle. "I'm fine," she says. "I just think we should appreciate stuff more." She never posts about it. She never makes a video. She never tells anyone where she went, but her followers notice things. She stops filming get ready with me content. She starts drinking tap water. She wears flats every single day for 6 months. She donates 4 pairs of platform heels to Goodwill and does not write it off as a tax deduction. And once, just once, at a restaurant, when her friend complains that the food is taking too long, Kayla looks at her with an expression that Bree will later describe as haunted and says, "At least it's not dormouse." Nobody asks her what that means, which is probably for the best.